I want to welcome you to the School of Professional and Continuing Studies and to the Student Services Onboard Training. I am Camille Elliott and I'm your presenter today. Participants who attend today's training will be able to do four things. First, to increase their awareness of the school's disability support services policy, our 504 grievance procedures, and compliance requirements of the college's gender-based misconduct policy. Understand the administrative processes associated with each area of student services, identify resources for the campus community in need of supportive services, and identify their campus liaison for each area of student services. We want to ensure that you are thoroughly prepared for your teaching experience here at PCS. So there's two areas that I will specifically discuss with you today. One, Title IX and your obligations under Title IX, and disability support services. So let's begin with Title IX. Springfield College is governed by the Title IX, which is the Education Amendments of 1972. This law has been on the books for roughly 45 years. Over the years, it was interpreted in different ways. First, the law was used to ensure that male and female faculty members in higher education obtain tenure at equal rates. Then, the law was used to ensure equality in athletics. Then, in 2011, the federal government under the Obama administration provided guidance to institutions of higher education on how to implement this law thoroughly and what is famously known in higher education as the Dear Colleague letter. Basically, the administration reminded colleges and universities that Title IX protects students against gender-based discrimination, including sexual violence. Institutions were mandated to set policies and procedures to address Title IX matters and to identify personnel on their campuses to handle these matters in an expeditious manner. As you can see from our next slide, from the statistics on the slide, there was a cause for concern regarding sexual assault on college campuses. These statistics are nationwide numbers and they do not at all represent the School of Professional Continuing Studies or Springfield College. However, because we are a part of the college community, we need to make you aware of the urgency and the seriousness of gender-based misconduct. As I mentioned in the previous slide, the Obama administration in its 2011 Dear Colleague letter mandated colleges and universities to put a policy and procedures in place on how to handle student as well as sexual assault allegations that involves anyone on the campus community. Also, someone to oversee these processes. So Springfield College created the Title IX coordinator position. This person develops and implements programming on Title IX, and here are some of the responsibilities of the Title IX coordinator. First, the Title IX coordinator will cover all areas that are related to Title IX. In addition, that person will handle bystander intervention. And this is a practice that uses training to prevent sexual assault or any other issue that's related to the campus's public health. Second, this person will deal with issues that are related to consent. So this person will inform the campus community about what consent is and what it is not. And thirdly, this person will educate the community about healthy relationships and provide training on how to cultivate those type of relationships. Normally, this is relegated to the traditional student population. Next, all Springfield College employees are responsible employees or mandated employees. That includes all adjunct faculty. Responsible employees have the duty to report any Title IX incidents. This means, in the case of a PCS faculty member, if a student disclosed to you a Title IX incident through an essay or a college assignment, and the type of disclosure that we're talking about is something that happened as part of a Springfield College program or activity. And this has to be a current incident, not a student's past history. So if a student tells you in an essay that she was sexually assaulted by a family member, that is not a Title IX offense. However, if you are in doubt about the status of an incident, report it to us anyway and let us review it and determine if it's a Title IX issue or not. Another area, there are two types of sexual assault that is strictly prohibited that we want to make you aware. Both of these can occur independently or concurrently. The first is what we call quid pro quo. That's anyone who makes sexual advances or requests sexual favors or verbal or physical conduct as favor or an advantage granted for something that they expect in return. The other issue is a hostile work environment. And this is where sexual harassment occurs when an employee or a member of the campus community is subjected to unwelcome advances, sexual innuendos, or offensive gender related language that is sufficiently severe or pervasive from the perspective of a reasonable person of the same gender as the offended employee or community member. Another area is parenting and pregnancy. Currently, this is the most common Title IX concern that comes up for PCS. It is important for you to know that pregnant and parenting students are protected under Title IX. This does not mean that they get a free pass, but it does mean that we have to work with them to find appropriate accommodations that work for both the faculty member and the student that will assist the student in completing her program of study. Now, one thing I want you to know is that Title IX supersedes the college attendance or incomplete policies, and this has to be within reason. We would need to work with the student in completing the assignments. So if you look at our next slide, here is a snapshot of a memo that I normally send out to faculty and staff at the beginning of the term, reminding them that pregnant and parenting students are protected under Title IX. Now, you will see this memo in its entirety in our appendix, but I just want to leave you with a couple of things here. That this memo provides you with guidance on how to handle a conversation where a student discloses to you that she is pregnant and what you should do. We provide you with the Title IX regulation, which is located on the Department of Education's website. The memo also gives you the name of the contact person at each campus and the Title IX coordinator and the Deputy Title IX coordinator. Myself, Camille Elliott, I'm the Deputy Title IX coordinator, and Mary Somali is the Title IX coordinator. So, in our next slide, what do you do as a student discloses? If a student discloses information to you, please let that person know that you are a reported employee or a mandated reporter, and it's your duty to notify the Deputy Title IX coordinator. So you first contact me, Camille Elliott, and my number is 413-748-3978 as the Deputy Title IX coordinator, or Mary Somali, who is the Title IX coordinator for the college, and her number is 413-748-3448. 748-3248. Just to give you an idea of what we would do, we normally would provide a student that disclosed information support services, and that support services can be located at your campus. So, on your own time, we ask that you read the gender based misconduct policy. And if you look at our next slide, there's a link where you can access that policy. Now, this policy is about 45 pages, and it's a very comprehensive document. It is accessible in this PowerPoint, as I mentioned. And what we would do is before you begin your class, that you look at this document so you're aware of the policies. So, and that wraps up the information for the Title IX and your obligations under Title IX. Now, our second presentation of the Student Services Training will focus on disability support services. Disability support services also falls under my area of responsibility. However, there's a contact person at each campus who you should be in contact with if you have any questions or concerns. If you are teaching an online class, I am the contact person for online classroom instruction. So first, let's go through the law. Springfield College, as any institution of higher education, is bonded by federal law to comply with ADA regulations. So, we are governed by two laws. The first law is the Rehabilitation Act of 1973, and that basically says that the rights of persons with disabilities, they have the opportunity to a fair and equal chance of an education. The Americans with Disabilities Act of 1990 and its Amendment Act of 2008 is a clear mandate to eliminate discrimination against students with disabilities in the public space. And the Amendment of 2008 under the Bush administration broadened the definition of ADA to the maximum extent possible. So, as you will see in the next slide, what is disability support services at PCS? Well, what we do is we determine the eligibility of a student. We determine the eligibility of students to receive academic accommodations in our educational programs, services, and activities at the school. This gives the student equal opportunity to succeed. It does not reduce the quality of the curriculum. The student still has to meet the college requirements. And you work in conjunction with faculty and staff to ensure that the students' academic accommodations are effective and consistent with the requirements of the college's programs. So we make sure we don't jeopardize the integrity of the program. And we also serve as a resource for faculty and staff. We require each instructor to include the college's ADA statement on the college syllabus. And for what I see, all of you have done that. This gives the students the opportunity to, it tells the student, this makes the students aware of disability support services that are available to them, and it gives the students instruction on what to do if they need the access to such services. The campus contact person's name is on the statement if the student has any questions or concerns. So, in our next slide for disability support service, what is the definition of reasonable academic accommodations? Well, it is an adjustment or a modification in the academic environment that enables an individual with a documented disability to have equal access to college programs and services. And so here are some examples. We tell faculty that he or she must follow these accommodations to happen without question. And if you have any questions about the accommodations or how you should implement them, of course, contact us for guidance. So here's some areas of some examples of accommodations, and you can read them on your time. The next slide is that students have a responsibility to request services. So here are the responsibilities of the student. The student must meet the required qualifications of the program, and the student must follow the student code of conduct. Even if the student has a disability that's considered to be a behavioral issue, the student must still follow the policy. Students must self-identify. Students must tell us that they are in need of accommodations. We don't ask them. The student must provide us with documentation from a qualified professional who is licensed to diagnose the student's disability. And that person must tell us how the disability impacts the student's learning. And the student must adhere to the specific procedures to obtain academic accommodations. So the student has to follow the process just like you do. In our next slide, we'll talk about the college responsibility. And actually, I'm going to read these verbatim because I want us to understand what we need to do. The faculty, we must ensure that faculty and staff do not discriminate in the college's educational process and the treatment of students with disabilities. We must also maintain the authority through the Blake Disability Support Service Office to review and verify students' documentation and to determine the appropriate and reasonable accommodations for the student. We are responsible for notifying faculty regarding the implementation of any academic accommodations, and our job is to provide guidance and support to faculty and staff and periodically provide training and awareness about disability support services as we are doing today. Your responsibility as faculty in this next slide is to read all the correspondence from the Campus Disability Support Service Administrator and comply with all required academic accommodations as they are written. Contact the Disability Support Service Administrator if you have if the academic accommodations are not clear or if there are questions about your expectations as a faculty member. And to make sure that you include the college ADA statement in your course syllabus, which all of you have already done. The next slide is our latest guide to assist you with supporting students with disability. This guide, which is the students with this documented disability, it's a resource guide for administrators, faculty, and staff. And here we have a copy of a template letter that you will receive from either myself or the disability support administrator at your campus. And if you receive the memo from the disability support campus, we will ask that you read the letter, what the accommodations that you must provide, speak with the student about the accommodations if she or he has any questions or concern, and both you and the student must confirm that you read the letter and you send a copy of the letter back to the disability support administrator at your campus. And also, we want you to know that we have an appendix available to you for additional support. And in that appendix is, again, the Students with Documented Disabilities, a resource guide for administrators, faculty, and staff. And it's located in the PCS faculty portal underneath handbooks and policies. And also there's a sample accommodation memo for students with disabilities, and you can get that upon request if you need to speak with me. Thank you. Thank you very much for your time, and we appreciate you joining us today. Got some